Welcome to another edition of the Christian Business Values Podcast. Rick Durkee invites Christian leaders to share life stories that have transformed their communities for Christ. Learn from proven leaders who equip and challenge others to put faith-based principles into action every day. Dreams become visions when one is awakened into action. Follow the Christian Business Values Podcast at ChristianBusinessValues.com. Now it's time for this edition's Life Stories, hosted by Rick Durkee.
And welcome back to Christian Business Values. We're so blessed to be with you today and also have our guest here today, Chris Holdorf. He's with the Global Water Center, and I've got so much information that I want to get out to you about how Chris's association with the Water Missions group and how this has been a spin-off from the Water Missions group and what your objectives are. Chris, let's just jump into it really quick, and let's also share a little bit about your background. I noticed in the information that was sent to me, I've met you over there at Water Missions before, but got a little bit of time to know about you a little bit more. And your history is pretty strong in the Christian community, all the way back from being involved with the Christian Foundation,
National Christian
Foundation,
right.
And also a lead minister at a church. Yep. And
pretty scattered.
But there's a lot of stuff in between there,
right.
And how you ended up at Water Mission. But we are
is.
definitely blessed to have you in our community here in Charleston. And why don't we spend a little bit of time first telling us about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks. First, thanks for having me. It's interesting. My story didn't start out in the faith world at all. I grew up in the Bible Belt of the U.S. and never hearing the gospel at all. And so interestingly, and
was that in Georgia?
It was.
Yeah.
And so never held a hymnal, never had owned a Bible. So very little exposure, but really some people that became friends in college began to share this wonderful story of the gospel. I didn't want much to do with it at all.
At that time, especially, right?
Exactly. But what I did start to wonder about is, if this is true, then I don't want to mess it up. And so I began to dive into studying and actually reading the Bible and became convinced that, yes, God's love is true. The story of the gospel is true. And so I opened my heart to that. At the time, though, my goal in college was to be in the finance world. I got a master's degree in taxation, which makes you one of the most boring people at a backyard barbecue, except around April 15th.
Exactly. Hey, how can you save me some money on taxes?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I got out of college and went to work for what then was a premier organization, Arthur Anderson and Company.
Yeah, my sister did too, right out of college.
Yeah, and so ended up without really a plan to do this, Rick, specializing in merger and acquisition work, tax planning around that, and then went into corporate work doing merger and acquisition deals around the world.
Okay.
At a pretty young age, after almost 20 years of that, had an opportunity to join my home church, which was launching a new church in the metro Atlanta area. And so made a big shift to become part of the team that would launch this new church. What a step of craziness. And I hope faith. Yeah. And I think faith. Yeah. But really, I joined with one other person then to launch a church in the North Atlanta area that the Lord really used to reach a lot of families. And so spent 15 years as the executive pastor. Through that journey, realized that this was more of a calling than a job. And so received a seminary degree and was ordained as a minister, and then went on to pastor a few churches. That background in the marketplace and in the faith world led the National Christian Foundation to connect with me. The National Christian Foundation is the largest faith-based foundation in the world.
Yeah.
And they mobilize almost $2 billion a year into the faith world. And so they reached out to me and I became the CEO of NCF, which ultimately allowed me to meet George and Molly Green here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Wow, that's short little, that had to have been a long journey to get there, but now here we are in our own community here with the Greens. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Water Mission the Greens had launched Water Mission, as you know, is a just world-class implementer of safe water projects. And shortly after meeting them, they shared with me this vision that they have had for now many, many years to launch a new organization to help scale, to increase the capacity around the world for safe water projects. Because sadly, 2.2 billion people in this world don't have access to safe water. And almost 1 million people are dying every year from that. And what's amazing is it's a preventable condition. We know how to solve the safe water problem. But that's what brought me to Charleston, South Carolina. One other motivation for me is that I have grandkids here.
Oh, okay.
And so the combination of a sense of calling from the Lord and also grandkids.
Yeah, calling to be a built-in babysitter.
That's exactly right.
But you can go home when you want to, right?
It's a joy. Right.
I hear you.
Exactly.
That's great, Chris. Great story. So for those of you that may not be up to date on what Water Missions does and whatnot, we have past episodes. If you'll visit our webpage at christianbusinessvalues.com, you can find out more about the mission of Water Missions. And then also today, I hope you'll learn more about what the Global Water Center's objectives are to be able to help scale this mission that George and Molly Green started out so many years ago. And I have another commonality with them and Water Mission in that my brother's first job out of Clemson University was to go to work with Gel Laboratories, where they were and before they started Water Mission. So my brother's been involved in some of the early water filtration engineering plans with the Greens. So,
Right.
So now, Chris, tell me a little bit about that transition now from the National Christian Foundation and what you saw with Water Missions that really drew you to them and said, you know, now I see something where I can really take this and multiply what they have already started here to scale this opportunity to educate and teach people about the crisis and also what you can do here in our local community and USA, across the USA, right?
Yes. Well, I think it begins with the idea, something that I know is dear to your heart. You know, as a Christian, as a believer, follower of Christ, I really believe that and that really guides your worldview. It helps to shape a worldview. How do you see truth? How do you see life? But as it relates to career, my experience has been my faith, my walk of life, which has been very imperfect, but has really helped to reshape what I see in terms of purpose and the definition of success in career. Now, I want to make clear, I am a person that believes that one of the greatest environments for faith is the marketplace. Today, the marketplace is the greatest vehicle and platform for people to engage other people and have an impact for the cause of Christ. For me, over the years as a believer in the marketplace and also in the nonprofit world, even in the church world, that really shaped and helped redefine how I just saw purpose and how I saw success. And work for me, and I think for many, many people, is a significant part of their life. And so as I was leading National Christian Foundation and was introduced to this idea that, first of all, that safe water is life. Without safe water, you don't have health, you don't have life, and you don't have an economy, a functioning economy. You don't have education. Ultimately, I don't think without safe water, people can ultimately fulfill the calling and the purpose that God has for their life. So it's fundamentally important. And then to learn that 30% of the world's population is trapped without access to safe water, but that we could do something about it, began to fit in this idea of what is my life about and what purpose could I devote perhaps my last season of professional life to. And so I became very inspired. And for over 2 years, George and Molly and I would just talk about what this could look like. And before too long, one of us had to ask the other, perhaps I could be a part of this.
Yeah.
And so that led me to coming to launch the Global Water Center with a purpose of taking not only what Water Mission knows and does, but what other credible organizations in the safe water world do, to take that expertise and to create a formal platform to share it with others so that we could scale, increase the number of people doing the right things. Rick, what's tragic is every year, hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on water projects that have no chance of success.
Yeah.
And it's not because people are ill-hearted, it's they simply don't know the difference.
And they don't get the training and knowledge of how to not only implement, but to carry through and carry forward to keep it perpetual.
That's exactly
that
right.
it becomes self-sustaining. And
That's
I know
right.
that was a big portion of Water Mission.
It is.
That, and also introduction to the fact that we're giving living water
That's right.
opportunities here too.
That's one of the greatest purposes that goes along this. John chapter 4 for me is a great illustration. And if you can remember, that's where Jesus meets a woman at a well. And so they have a conversation around physical water. But the Lord shifts that conversation over time into a discussion about living water. And he says, in fact, if you knew who you were talking to, you would ask for me and I would give you living water. And so there's a real connection there that water is life, physical life. But there is something even greater. We have the opportunity to use water, physical water, to open the door to introducing people to living water. And so the Global Water Center interacts with secular organizations and with faith-based organizations. And our driving agenda is to say, if organizations will commit to these standards that create sustainable solutions to safe water, in the process of doing that, we end up understanding who has a faith orientation. And the Global Water Center is able to open doors for them that probably they could not open on their own. And so it's very much a sometimes tent-making situation where our faith, unlike Water Mission, where their public expression of their faith is very much at the front of what they do. For the Global Water Center, ours is a bit more subtle because we're opening doors in the secular world, not only for secular organizations, but for faith-based organizations as well. And I think that's just a part of the reality of being believers in the world that we live in today.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you shared with me, and I had the privilege of learning a little bit more about the objectives of the Global Water Center. But how about we bring up to date who's doing it right now, and what are you doing here in our country to be able to spread this knowledge of what's available?
Yeah. So Global Water Center has two dimensions, as you're just asking about. One, we help resource other organizations in the safe water world. But the second really exciting aspect of Global Water Center is we're creating a movement of millions of people here in the US and North America to educate them about the issues of water poverty, to inspire them and to show them that they can have a part in being a part of not only relieving physical suffering, but also spiritual suffering as well. So to do that, the Global Water Center has created a museum of safe water. It's a highly interactive, educational, technological marvel, really, that travels around the country.
You said 25,000 square feet.
25,000, exactly. 25,000
tractor trailer rigs. Is that what it is?
You have it. Yeah. So if you can imagine a NASCAR trailer,
okay,
that expands out like an RV would do. We have 4 tractor trailers that are traveling around the country today with a complete dome immersive theater that also accompanies that. This is traveling around the country today, 25,000 square feet of interactive experience, the science of water, the wonder of this world. And through that experience, we have the opportunity to show people the design of this world and how incredibly precise it is so that water exists on Earth in a way that supports life, and it's unique to the whole universe. And so people go through this experience. They not only see the wonders of this world, the wonders of creation, but they also come face to face with the reality of the suffering that goes on. We don't leave them there, Rick. We show them that this can be solved and they can have a part in solving this. One thing that's interesting, the technology that exists today allows us to do some amazing things. We're using what's called augmented reality in some of these trailers. What is that? It's taking a physical object and using then an animated device like an iPad to show you, for example, what goes on inside of a pump, what goes on inside of a filtering system. But it also allows you to go and see what's going on inside of a community that receives safe water and how their lives have been changed. It's quite amazing.
It is. It is. It sounds like it. So where is it traveling right now?
Yeah, so right now we're in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
We will travel to about 15 locations a year. We'll be in Minnesota. We'll be at the Ryder Cup, of all places, golf tournament
We'll be
in
there
Wisconsin.
too.
Fantastic. So one of our corporate sponsors is Kohler,
Okay.
which, by the way, makes the best products for your home and bath, but they also sponsor the Global Water Center.
Nice.
And so they are a sponsor of the Ryder Cup golf tournament, and they've invited the Mobile Discovery Center to be there to feature as a company they identify with well-being and how safe water can be a part of that. Let me share one other thing with you.
Definitely going to be there to
All right.
visit the exhibit.
We will see you there.
September 25th, around there sometime.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
What-
you'll be there?
We will be there.
Awesome.
Yeah. I can't wait to see you. There's something really exciting happening here in Charleston also, though, through the Global Water Center. So we have this traveling exhibit.
Mhm.
We are also in the design phase of building a permanent museum of safe water here in Charleston, South Carolina, at the same location that Water Mission is now located. So we've acquired the property there on the Cooper River
Mhm.
and are in design phase for a discovery center there in Charleston, a place of destination, but more than just a place of destination for the public, it's also a place of innovation for the safe water industry and a
Mhm.
place of training.
Mhm.
So as we're resourcing other organizations, we'll have this home base.
That they can
here in
come visit
Charleston.
and do some collaboration
That's
and
right.
work and share ideas and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're
Wow.
excited about being a part of the community here
Mhm.
in that way as well.
Yeah. Lots of work that's been done already. And I think I met you about last November over there at Water Mission, and
Right.
it's amazing. Just, Lem Walker helped introduce us.
That's right.
And Lem and I have done a lot of work together with Water Mission, but it's just amazing to now see the details of what
Mhm.
he was trying to explain to me that you've been involved with.
Right.
And anything that we can do to help promote this now. How can people find out more information? What's the easiest way? I'm assuming you probably have a web page set up. Or
Exactly.
something that people could visit.
The best way is to go to globalwatercenter.org,
Mhm.
globalwatercenter.org. And through that website, you will see several things. One, how the Global Water Center is helping to resource other organizations around the world, creating best practices and then training those organizations. People can obviously tap into that and see that there's opportunity to support that financially.
Mhm.
But there's actually something even more important through also the Discovery Center.
Mhm.
We have training and opportunities for people to see, first of all, whether we're going to be in your community, and
Mhm.
that would be a great opportunity. But even if we're not in your community, the resources that we have available for people to understand the wonder of water and how water can be a part of saving people's lives. And they can then begin to learn and understand how they can be a part of that in their own community as well.
Mhm.
Through walks for water, through helping young people to understand. We're creating materials for STEM schools, how they can be a part of that as well. So I would say globalwatercenter.org is the
Okay.
best launching point
Mhm.
for becoming part of the solution that's trapped 30% of the world's population. We're blessed here to have access to abundance of safe water. But as you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And we have a great opportunity not to feel guilty about this blessing, but to do things that extend it to others around the world.
And I'm going to invite all of our cohorts out there in our Christian faith that have been viewers of Christian Business Values over the years to please take this episode and forward this on to other people that you think might benefit from it. Chris, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure we could go on for an hour here, but I want to get people that watch this episode to contact you and also visit your webpage. That was globalwatercenter.org.
That's correct.
.org, and find out more. And there's plenty of resources available for you. We've just definitely been blessed here in the holy city of Charleston, South Carolina, to have you come join us here in Charleston, and also launch the Global Water Center now with Water Mission. It's just such a tremendous organization that they have over there. So thank you for your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with our viewers today that we didn't cover, or anything that I missed? I'm sorry if I did.
Well, first of all, thank you. This is a wonderful opportunity for engaging people through technology and for what you're hosting. So thank you very much. I would just encourage people, join the movement of safe water. And you can go to globalwatercenter.org and see how to be a part of that. But, we started out with, what does it look like to be a Christian in the marketplace? It looks like making a difference. And there's lots of ways for us to do that. One of those ways is to help people get safe water, which leads to living water. Thank you very much.
Good, Chris. All right, that's all the time we have for today on Christian Business Values. Again, I encourage you to like and share this information with others that you believe could benefit from it. Join us again for a future edition of Christian Business Values, where we feature Christian business leaders from our community that share their wealth of knowledge of how the Christian faith can survive even through these hardest of COVID times, where we can't get together in our meetings as we have been before. You can always share the living word of our Savior Jesus Christ through this program, Christian Business Values.
Follow the Christian Business Values podcast at christianbusinessvalues.com.